New today, a major change on how immigration sweeps are carried out in the city that has become the center of Trump's immigration crackdown. Friday, a federal judge blocked the Trump administration from arresting people in numerous counties in California, including Los Angeles, without legitimate suspicions they are in the country illegally. That means no one can be arrested based on race, the language they speak, or the type of work that they do. Joining me now, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. Mayor Bass, it's wonderful to have you on the show. But look, you have been enduring weeks of protests in your city, all across Southern California, in fact, including a protest that turned violent on Thursday at that farm in Camarillo, California. What is your reaction to the federal judge's ruling to stop indiscriminate immigration raids?
Well, first of all, obviously, we welcomed and celebrated that decision. And I am hoping that it gives us just a little bit of breathing room in this city, because I will tell you, people have been terrorized and terrified. People don't leave home. And I don't think that people quite realize that Los Angeles, 3.8 million people, is about 50% Latino. So when you were talking about the agents, the ICE agents, or whoever they are, because the bottom line is most of the time, we don't know who these masked men without uniforms, unmarked cars, no license plates, jump out of cars with guns and just snatch people and detain them off the streets, grabbing people off of bus stops. It's hard to get your car washed in LA now because for whatever reason, they focused on car washes. And it's hard for me to believe that the cartels are hanging out in car washes. The other day, they decided to focus on gardeners and landscapers. So it is very arbitrary, very random. Sometimes they pick up people who are actually U.S. citizens or here legally with the appropriate papers. So I'm hoping it gives us a little bit of breathing room. But what happened the other day was actually outside of L.A., about an hour and a half outside of L.A. in Camarillo.
And I should add to that, San Bernardino, about an hour away in the other direction, when you have the Catholic bishops there at the church saying, hey, don't come to church. We're afraid you're going to be snatched from the church pews. I mean, that's extraordinary. I want to get to the executive order that you signed aimed at getting more information about those people who have been detained in these raids. Can you explain why you did this and what else is in that order?
Well, first of all, the bulk of the order is actually instructions to city departments on how to protect themselves from the federal government. Just let that sink in for a minute. That I really needed to help city departments know that if you are in charge of the library, you don't have to worry about ICE barging in. They have to have a warrant. And this is how you go about abiding by the law, but not allowing the library to be overtaken by troops. I mean, what you're looking at here was just a ridiculous display of force. They went to a local park and marched through a children's summer camp. And what was that for? They left after about an hour. It was basically a stunt. Actually, these pictures are a variety of different things. But you know, what is the purpose of this except for to leave people terrorized and traumatized? You have people who won't leave their house to go to buy groceries. So now we're having to arrange how we get them groceries. They won't go to work. They won't go to school. And so the bulk of the executive directive was around the city family. But we also are filing a Freedom of Information Act because we want to know who these masked men are. We want to know where the people are that they're detaining. Do you know they've detained hundreds of people? Families don't know where their loved ones are. They don't know if they're in Los Angeles, California, or even in the United States. They don't have access to legal counsel. So the court decision that happened just last evening basically said that people do have to have basic rights.
Absolutely. And California Governor Gavin Newsom responded to that judge's ruling and called out President Trump's right-hand man, Stephen Miller, saying his immigration agenda is one of chaos, cruelty, and fear. I'm guessing you could back that up in terms of what you're seeing on the ground in your city. I mean, you're talking about people being snatched out of like MacArthur Park.
Exactly. I will say that. And we don't understand Stephen Miller. He's born and raised in Los Angeles. And for some reason, he has sought to seek revenge on the city that raised him. And I don't know exactly why he is so inhumane in how he goes about things. He celebrated child separation, and that's what he's doing again, except for it's taking parents away. A lot of the detention started right before Father's Day. So you had fathers that didn't come home on Sunday, and how do you explain that to a 5 or a 6-year-old? Not only did your father not come home, but I don't know when you're going to see him or if you're going to see him again. That is inflicting lifelong trauma on children.
I got to say, I think it was an LA Times headline that I saw. How did Santa Monica create Stephen Miller? I mean, we know Santa Monica, the two don't go together. Let's talk about border czar Tom Homan, who said Friday that it is Democrats who are inciting the violence over ICE raids. Let's listen to this together.
What happened in California is just another example of protesters becoming criminals. And they've been emboldened by even members of Congress who compare ICE to Nazis and racists and terrorists.
What's your reaction?
Well, you know, when you have armed, masked men jumping out with weapons and chasing people through the streets, I beg to differ with him. That is what is causing the absolute outrage, because people understand that this is unconstitutional. This is not America. What is going on here? Which is why I have defined this as an experiment. We are a petri dish for the nation, and I think that other cities need to be on alert, because what is being practiced and tried out here, I believe, is going to go to other cities. And I have to ask you, toward what end? Why do you have the Marines in Los Angeles? Why do you have the National Guard in Los Angeles? Why did you seize power from our governor, force the National Guard on us, requested it? We have a police department. We have a sheriff's department. We didn't need the assistance. We didn't ask for it. And we need for them to go back. They need for this to stop. And I'm hoping that the order that the judge rendered yesterday will be able to stand. I know it's going to be appealed, but I'm hoping that the appellate court will be willing to uphold the Constitution.
Well, I am hoping, Madam Mayor, that you'll have time to come back and see us again. I know you're awfully busy, and I do appreciate the time with us here today in the afternoon. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'd love to come back.
Look forward to it.